I was really treated like I didn't know what I was doing, and instead of people celebrating, oh, you're pregnant and everything, it was just, she's having a baby with Down syndrome. I was so frightened for him, totally torn every second. You were so torn with emotions, it was just like you couldn't catch your breath. From what I understand, people with disabilities in third world countries are shunned, and they don't have anywhere near what we have, you know. We have to fight for stuff for our children here, but at least we have something to fight for. If Joshy was over there, he would not have survived.
Meet Suphot. He's a 17-year-old boy who lives in a remote jungle village in West Thailand. This year, he began grade 7 at Hoi Malai High School. This morning, Suphot's friends forgot to take him to the school assembly. But it's not unusual, so he sits alone and waits patiently for class to begin. Seven and a half thousand kilometres away in Toowoomba, Queensland, Joshua begins his day horse riding.
We're at horse riding for the disabled. Here people with disabilities go for riding on the horses, and they walk around the paddocks and get to talk with the animals and ride them and get some fresh air and exercise. You right? Put your seatbelt on. You want the camera? You can have it in a minute. We're just going to take some photos. It's okay.
Josh has been coming for, I think, 2 years now, and he's just grown so much. He loves it immensely, and you know, he'll have his good days and bad days like us all, but he really gets a lot of fun out of the horses, and he loves riding boy. The horses are so wonderful. They take a lot of pulling around and things like that, but they take it all, and it's just a wonderful experience for us all. He seems to be enjoying it, and if I can get many people to experience the joy of horse riding, well, I think I'm doing a fair job. So Josh certainly enjoys it.
We were lucky that a vacancy came up and he was able to come out. It's probably good exercise for me too.
The Mitchell family keeps a busy schedule. And now it's time to head home so Josh can do some schoolwork.
See the cows, Joshy? I was born in Toowoomba and been here my whole life except for 2 years after I left school. And I was in Brisbane for 2 years. And I didn't like it because it was very big and impersonal. You know, I worked in a building of 2,000 people, and yet at lunchtime I could sit down on the footpath and not see a single person I knew. And I hated that. I wanted to come home, so as soon as I could get a transfer back, I came back. So it took 2 years though. this week. This is Disability Action Week. It's really good now because it's actually achieving what it was supposed to do, which is getting the community all involved and raising awareness about how much people with disabilities can do and do contribute to the community and everything, and it's so exciting. It's really cool when you can see how much it's grown over the last few years, and I'm excited about it.
Jan Yawan moved to Thailand almost 30 years ago to work as a nurse. She soon met and married Jit, a local pastor.
A lot of people think these are like grapefruit, but they're nowhere near as sour as grapefruit.
Jan is now chairman of the Candlelight Community-Based Rehabilitation Project, an organisation that has worked with Suphot for most of his life. She tells us about the local area.
If you look at the map of Thailand here, coming up from, this is Bangkok here, and if you come up around the north, you're going to come up here and there's a hump there, and we're in the corner of the hump, where we're located about 350 kilometres from Bangkok and about 250 kilometres from the city of Kanchanaburi, where the bridge over the River Kwai is, the real bridge. And so the Burma Railway, or the Death Railway of the Second World War, came up through this river valley and crossed the border quite close to here. So quite a lot of Australians come back, make pilgrimages here. They'll go to the war cemetery in Kanchanaburi, often find graves of relatives or relatives of friends. So we're not really very far from the Andaman Sea across here. I don't need to go anywhere in the world. He said I can just look at Google Earth and go there.
The team at Candlelight meets to discuss the weekly schedule.
Candlelight works as a community-based rehabilitation program. There's visitation into people's homes, trying to encourage the community to get alongside people with disabilities. It's an area we need to work more on. Some people are very supportive. Other people say, well, that's their problem, but we don't need to get involved. And so part of our role is to try and get people involved and see that they can be part of that.
The main aim of the project is to help the families of children with disabilities, to advocate for them and make sure that if there are services for them available, that they do receive those services, and just to support and encourage the families in whatever ways possible. Other than Candlelight, there's nothing in this region. Most of the people here have come from Burma, and so have little or no rights.
This week, the team will visit Suphot to make a routine assessment of his progress.
They found that it was better to go to people's homes and to train the families how to look after their children, rather than them trying to trek in from different villages in the jungle to the centre. The only thing here in the village is Candlelight, and then before that, children with disabilities were just sort of put in the corner and shunned and wait till they die, sort of thing. So yeah.
Josh enjoys learning, but sometimes he needs a little persuasion.
You want to watch Dragon? Yes? All right, come to this and then I'll switch on Dragon. All right? I'm his mum, so there's some times when he just doesn't want to do anything, and so you have this struggle of being his teacher and being his mum and getting him to do stuff.
The monkey.
This one, with the monkey.
No.
Joshy, just pick one, quick.
Shrek 3.
Shrek 3. All right. It's challenging. It's very challenging. We go through distance education, so the programs are designed, but they're not designed for special needs. So it's always, whenever it comes, then I have to go through it and sort of try and change it around so it's more aimed at Joshua. His immune system is too compromised to be in a school situation where he'd be sick all the time. He did go for a little while to the early childhood centre, but he spent more time in hospital and at home being sick than he actually spent there. He does really well one-on-one, and I think it's really important he learn to read and be able to do basic maths, and he is more likely to get that being homeschooled.
Suphot has only one thing on his mind today. He has an exam in Buddhist studies where he must recite a passage of scripture. Before the teacher arrives, students take the opportunity for some last-minute practice. Others are less enthusiastic. Suphot's science teacher admires him and is keen to tell us about her inspirational student.
เขาเรียนปกติตามเพื่อนค่ะโดยเพื่อนจะเข็นรถให้แล้วไปนั่งเรียนแต่เขาจะสนใจเรียนมากกว่าเด็กโดยทั่วไปค่ะในความรู้สึกที่เราสอนเพราะว่าเขาจะเขียนตัวหนังสือได้สวยแล้วก็ไม่ดื้อค่ะเหมือนทดลองวิทยาศาสตร์หนูจะเป็นคนสอนวิทยาศาสตร์ใช่ไหมคะเรื่องการส่องเซลล์สไลด์จากกล้องจุลทรรศน์เขาจะเป็นนั่งแล้วเขาจะส่องนี่นั่นแหละแต่กับเพื่อนคนอื่นที่เขาสามารถดูได้ด้วยความแข็งแรงเขาไม่สนใจค่ะซึ่งเป็นตัวอย่างที่น่ายกย่อง
As the teacher marks the class roll, nerves begin to grow. A lucky break for Suphot, the teacher announces that the recital will be done in pairs, a decision that Suphot and his best friend Sarawut are very happy to hear.
สนุกนะคะร่าเริงค่ะหยอกกันบางทีนั่งไปเพื่อนคนไหนเสียงดังข้างๆเขาก็เอามือตีหัวอย่างเงี้ยค่ะก็มีค่ะแล้วก็เพื่อนๆจะรู้สึกปลื้มในตัวเขามากกว่าค่ะ
Suphot is nervous. The teacher is quite strict and he is next.
อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภควาตรัสรู้ชอบได้ด้วยพระองค์เอง
The pressure is on, but the boys do well, passing the test with only a few minor errors.
หรือไม่ก็แม้แต่ตัวเราบางทีเรารู้สึกบางครั้งรู้สึกไม่สบายใจหดหู่ใจใช่ไหมคะพอเห็นสุพจน์มาเรียนปุ๊บเอ๊ะเขามีความตั้งใจเรียนเราครบ32ทำไมเรายังรู้สึกอย่างนี้อะไรอย่างเงี้ย
Very good. Next page.
As Josh's focus begins to fade, a visitor is a welcome distraction from study. Deb and Toni are long-time friends, but their friendship took a turn for the worse after Josh's birth.
I thought I was doing all the right things and being there for her and trying to help out as much as I could, whereas with all the stress she was under, she was feeling smothered and people were trying to take over and it was just easier for her to shut everybody out. She was a lot of support, but lots of things happened after the birth and everything, and we just sort of fell apart for a while.
It's now water under the bridge. Deb and Toni return to the close friendship they once shared.
And we've only just talked about it, probably only about 6 months ago. And Toni made a real point of sitting and talking about how she felt and what had happened. We've found each other again now, and we're back being best friends again and supporting each other again. It would be really hard for her, and yeah, if we can make it easier just by being here, then so be it.
In Hoi Malai, the rainy season lasts almost half of the year, with temperatures and humidity levels remaining uncomfortably high. Since most of the roads are not sealed, it can be quite a challenge to get around the village. And for Suphot, it is especially difficult. Today, Suphot has a visit from 2 of the Candlelight staff. Michael is an Australian physiotherapist, temporarily working with Candlelight, and Brawin is Suphot's local caseworker.
When the offer was made to ask would we like a physiotherapist, we said yes, definitely.
I was sent over by a Christian mission organisation called Interserve. My wife and I wanted to come over to Thailand. We'd both been over here before doing some work, and we really love the country, really love the culture and the people, and just wanted to use our skills and our professions to help the local people.
Michael will be with us for a year. It's not much point being here for a year. You can do a little bit in a year, but what you need to look at is training others who can keep going, working alongside the staff and training them as they work together.
Okay, turn it around. Suphot, the main concern for us is his scoliosis, is the large curvature of his spine. And so a lot of that will be pain management, so doing different physiotherapy techniques, mobilising the joints in the spine so that they don't stiffen up. Because it's okay now, but when he gets older, if those aren't managed, then it can become really painful and cause severe osteoarthritis and lots of pain for him. Suphot will never be able to walk, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean that he's limited to what he can or can't do. Just through doing regular physiotherapy exercises, we are starting to see a strength in his arms that he didn't have. So yeah, there's definitely potential for him.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Around the corner. No, round here. Yep.
Joshua has 12 medical specialists that he visits regularly. Today is his monthly appointment with physiotherapist Anne Barton.
Josh has some Down syndrome with low tone, so what I'm trying to do is get some strength in his little body.
Well, we haven't seen you for ages. No, because Josh has been really sick.
Yeah, no, that's okay. You get strength by heavy work, by jumping on the trampoline, all those sorts of things. At this stage, he's probably mastering some of the early balance activities, so he's actually off the ground now. He's mastering some ball skills, and we're doing pre-writing activities and recognising letters and numbers, and therefore the dot to dots and mazes and things like that. Hey, good work. Generally, he's a fun kid. On task time is a bit of an issue. You can con him quite a bit, which is what you've got to do if you want an outcome. But he has that learning style, so I guess we as adults have to adapt to that learning style.
So is there anything you want me to do with him at home?
If you can, see if you can get some of that. Just try in and in, yeah. Even if you hold, that's the sort of thing. Oh, that would be more complicated, but just see if you can do the out and in. Even if he does 2 and then gets back to jumping, that's fine, as long as he can start that patterning. Balance a little bit better, he didn't have to hold me as much, so that's good.
Thanks for that, Anne.
He'll go a long way because of his ability to make people do things for him, rather than, being passive. I think he's got a little bit of a spirit there, for sure.
I'm
Josh.
Now you can go.
Grab your mother.
Josh's paediatrician tells us more about his development.
Heart and lungs are his big problem for Josh. The lungs are very time consuming. There's just
But we made it through this winter.
we got
Now
this
we're just
winter,
gotta get ready for
missed
next
the
winter.
swine flu, success. you know.
So if we just got to get him strong for next winter now.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that he's not got the same amount of energy. You know, before Easter he would run around for about 45 minutes before he'd need to sit down, and now he only goes for about 15-20 minutes.
You get a cold and make mucus, we blow it out, we snort, we get rid of the muck.
Yeah.
Josh's muscles are weaker, he doesn't. The mucus settles, it goes thick, and we live in a part of the world that's dry. So every time you breathe in dry air, the mucus goes thicker again, and thicker, settles in the chest, gets into trouble. So winters are always bad.
Yeah. Deep breath.
Wow.
Dada.
Hey, that's good. Very good. Great, Josh. One more.
Siki.
Yeah, he's lost weight.
So I've still got him on the.
Think it's your mother's cooking, Josh?
Yeah.
No.
Well, there goes your dinner invitation. I've still got him on Pediasure.
No.
So, well, is there anything else that I could be giving him to fatten him up?
No.
Yeah, Pedisure.
Yeah, that's it.
Good as anything. So the sustagens, we get away with it. Pedisure's cleverer.
Yeah, he doesn't really like the sustagen taste.
That's the flavour. You've got to find one he likes. Because other people work their lives by birthdays, we work lives by winters. Because that's the bad time every year. And now it's over, we're all smiling and happy. If you come around the end of March when winter starts again, and mum will have wrinkles and worry lines and losing weight, it happens every year. This year's a good year. Okay, Josh, I think you've done brilliantly.
Put the books away.
Righto. Lead on. Born actor, this lad. Born actor. Thanks.
I wasn't around at the hospital when he first came in, but his first visit to the hospital was when he was 3 months old. And he came, a little boy, the mother was worried, bit of health problem, just not quite right.
He developed some sort of febrile illness which caused paralysis of his legs.
He was getting really floppy. The doctor admitted him to hospital and never really did find out what was the cause.
He thus couldn't walk and developed quite a sharp scoliosis in his back.
Not a lot of opportunity for lab testing here. We're in a fairly remote area. His diagnosis was floppy baby syndrome. The cause was not known.
School's out for the day, and the small community of Hoi Malai begins to wind down. It's time for a bath, and Suphot's little sister, Orawan, is always there to lend a hand. Everyday tasks are difficult for Suphot, and he is very lucky to have such a supportive family.
His problem is he's basically paralysed from the waist down, but he's not like a paraplegic. He does have some movement, but really no use of his legs. His hands aren't strong, but he can use them.
Suphot's parents were desperate and tried many alternative treatments.
แต่ก็เพราะฉะนั้นว่าไอ้ตรงนั้นอย่างเดียวก็ไม่ใช่นะอาจารย์ที่ว่าในป่านะครับคือว่าหมอในป่านี่ก็มีใช่ไหมเขาก็บอกว่ายาอันนั้นยาอันนี้มันต้องหาอันนั้นทำหาอันนี้นวดอะไรพวกผมก็ทำหลายอย่างเหมือนกันแต่ไม่รู้ว่าอันไหนมันดีผมก็จำไม่ได้หรอกเพราะว่ามันเยอะ
His friends and family are really good. His family tend to carry him up and down the stairs, although he can do it by himself.
Suphot approaches every challenge and obstacle with great perseverance and a courage that is truly inspirational.
Well, about 4:30, Joshy has his dinner, and I do a big stew up for him once a month where I put in all the meat and all the veggies and every veggie I can lay my hands on. But so it's not the same thing that he's having every night. I always mix a little bit of a can through it from the baby food can, so he's got a bit of a different flavour in it. You start eating? Yep, good boy. Okay. No, thank you. Well, when I was pregnant, we knew he had heart complications. They'd seen that he had no walls inside his heart, so we knew that was coming. They suspected that he had Down syndrome because they'd found 6 out of 10 markers that they looked for during the ultrasound. But I hadn't let them do any other tests to confirm it or not because they were too intrusive, and there was too high a risk of miscarriage. When he was born, he didn't make any sound. He was 6 weeks early. He just lay there. He's just floppy, just thing, and we were all just holding our breath. And they sort of like brought him over, gave me this really quick cuddle, and then he disappeared off to intensive care. There was just all these more leads coming out of him and all these machines hooked up to him and all these beeps, and I came to hate those beeps over the next few months. He'd be constantly listening to the monitor, and it's the most horrible sound in the world, those beeps. My priest came up, baptised Joshy. So they were pretty much just saying there was no hope. Be good.
After Josh has been put to bed and he settles, the house grows quiet. Toni is left alone with her thoughts. She reflects on her family situation.
I love my family very, very much, and I've encouraged them, and I want them to be a part of Joshy's life and a part of my life. But they have found it very difficult to understand Joshy's disabilities and all the complications, and I think they're a little bit scared of the outcomes, and I think deep down they're afraid of getting close to him because the outcome's not so positive. But they've made it very clear that they don't want to be part of his life, and that they're not going to accept him. I feel like I have two families. I have my blood family, and then I have my heart family. And the blood family we don't get any support from, and our heart family is our friends who really do love us and who care and who do support us. I don't think there was ever a turn for the worse. I think right at that very first ultrasound when the doctors booked us in for an abortion, you know, when they said, we suspect Joshy has Down syndrome, so, no, well, not Joshy, we suspect your baby has Down syndrome, and here's the date and time for you to go in and have a termination. My mum said, well, you must do this. And she was not happy at all, and I refused. I've gone to great lengths to explain things to all of them and to try and help them understand and to show them the positive side of things, and he's never been accepted or welcomed, or it's gotten, but it has got nastier and harder over the years as he's gotten older and everything, but I don't think he was ever at a point where he was accepted and welcomed. Very hard to talk about. I think it's really sad for them. And it's sad for Joshy because he doesn't have grandparents, you know, and he doesn't have all that extended family that should be there for him. Yeah.
Despite the lack of support she receives from her family, Toni wants to keep them up to date with Joshua's progress. Toni calls her mum.
Hey, it's me. Did you see Joshy in the paper? Yes. Did you see him in the paper last Saturday? Well, I just thought you might have said something. Yeah, go and watch the weather. Bye. I don't know why I bother ringing to tell them anything. They never want to know. Yes, so you're in the paper again. You're always in the paper. Whenever you see someone in the paper, you ring them up and you tell them, and they just don't even want to acknowledge that he's related to them. And I got lots of messages from the Hart family, though.
Toni's family declined to comment. This is the river Suphot's parents must cross each day to go to work. And this field is their destination. Rice farming is an arduous task. The labour is backbreaking, the conditions hot and sticky, and then they have to hope for a good harvest.
In the past, families often kept their children away at home and didn't want it to be known in the community that they had a disabled child. But now in Thailand, I see an attitude change.
หน้าที่สุดก็คือว่าความเป็นอยู่ของเขาเนี่ยแหละครับที่ต้องสู้ก็คือว่าที่อยู่ไม่สะดวกหรือก็การไปก็ไม่สะดวกอะไรประมาณนั้นนะครับไปไหนเพราะมันสะดวกก็มันก็ไม่ได้มีอะไรเรื่องการกินอาหารข้าวปลาอาหารก็คือไม่ได้เดือดร้อนไม่ได้มันก็มีกินไอ้พวกนี้มันมีอยู่แล้วครับ
Although Suphot's father is optimistic, the reality is that he supports his family on no more than $2 a day, leaving them with no choice but to grow much of their own food just to survive.
There's no pensions or government subsidies. There weren't when he was young. They've since started a small fund, which for those who manage to get onto this fund, they get 500 baht a month, which again $20 a month. Just to put that into perspective on the cost of living here, if I was to go to the market and buy pork, pork without fat, meat, it's about 130 baht a kilo. So you're looking at being able to buy about 4 kilos of pork for that subsidy that he gets.
It still does not cover his medical costs, his schooling costs, and food for the family. And thus his parents have to work long hours each day in the rice fields to provide food and health for him and his other brothers and sisters.
As Disability Action Week draws to a close, Toni prepares for the opening of the annual Carnival of Flowers.
How you doing? Perfect timing, we just got the shed.
This year, 18 different and diverse disability care agencies have joined forces for something special.
We're putting in a float for the Carnival of Flowers parade as a Disability Action Week float.
All the different agencies have all got together and we've each been given a panel or 2 panels to decorate.
We were all given the same size piece of blue and the theme with butterflies and flowers, and that gave us just some great guidelines to work in.
You pull yours a bit tighter.
How'd you go? Good job.
At the moment we're just putting the panels around the truck so that we can work out, how they look the best.
Because, you see it coming towards you and then it's in front of you for a second and then it's gone and you're looking at the next one. So we want the prettiest stuff to be what they're going to see the most of.
It's going to be all loopy. Yes. So it won't matter at all, I don't think. Okay. Probably be good for the effect. Okay.
You driving it, Toni, or someone else driving?
No.
Mark from Task is driving it. This year we're just going to do the basics here and then put the flowers and that on actually at the marshalling area tomorrow morning, so it'll be much easier.
I think it's going to be a long night. It's going to be fun.
Yar is the team leader at Candlelight. He's been working with the project for only 12 months.
ใหม่ๆในการทำงานครับจากที่ผมทำงานกับเด็กปกตินะครับปกติแล้วก็ลองมาทำดูกับผู้พิการมันเป็นสิ่งที่ท้าทายถึงความสามารถของตัวเองในการทำงานครับโครงการแสงเทียนทำงานเกี่ยวกับผู้พิการนะครับในการพัฒนาผู้พิการให้มีชีวิตที่ดีขึ้นครับในการดำเนินชีวิตในประจำวันและในครอบครัวของเขา
One way that Candlelight is achieving this is through vocational training. Marley heads up the project.
ทำงานกับเด็กพิการนี่คนไทยเนาะคนไทยเขาคิดแต่เดี๋ยวนี้เราดูแล้วคนไทยน่าเขาอยากให้ความสนใจกับเด็กพิการมากขึ้นเดี๋ยวนี้มาลีก็มาทำงานที่นี่เห็นเด็กพิการเห็นแล้วก็แบบอยากจะช่วยพวกเขาเพื่อที่เขาโตขึ้นมาแล้วก็เขาจะมีชีวิตแล้วก็ในการงานของเขาช่วยเหลือเขาจะมีอาชีพหลักที่จะไปทำงานต่อข้างหน้าต่อไปนะ
Lek and Benjamin have been working in the project for 6 years. In this time they've learnt many skills, including how to weave and make greeting cards.
สิ่งที่เราทอพวกนี้ถ้าเราทอเสร็จแล้วก็เราจะขายถ้าทอได้เยอะก็เราจะส่งไปที่ตลาดก็ได้บางครั้งป้าแจงเขาก็จะเอาไปที่กรุงเทพไม่ใช่ก็เขาจะส่งไปที่ต่างประเทศก็มีอย่างการ์ดเนี่ยเขาจะไปขายที่ต่างประเทศไมเคิลก็ไปขาย
On weekends, Suphot turns his home into a makeshift electronics workshop. And he is definitely the boss of this workshop.
Vocationally, we'd like to see him go sort of to a vocational training institute, kind of like New South Wales have TAFE in Australia, where he can learn about electronics and learn how to repair small appliances, which he quite enjoys doing in his home.
There are some schools here in Thailand that will train disabled people, and his father did have hopes for him to go this year, but the decision was to send him to the local high school rather than there.
Concern for Suphot's welfare is obvious when his father talks about his future work options.
ครับอยู่ใกล้พ่อใกล้แม่ใช่ไหมครับคือว่างานก็อยู่ในบ้านด้วยมันช่วยเหลือตัวเองมันไม่ได้เสมออยู่แล้วครับแต่ว่าพ่อก็เป็นห่วงตรงนี้ครับคือว่าถ้าอยู่ใกล้อยู่กับบ้านนี่ก็ดีครับ
Thousands of people line the streets of Toowoomba to celebrate the opening of the annual Carnival of Flowers.
This is our 60th and it's the longest running parade in the Southern Hemisphere.
Well, I think it's a celebration of Toowoomba. I think it brings the community and the people together, and I think particularly from the disability advocacy point of view and for people with disabilities, it just brings them closer into the community.
And I think it's a good way to get your message across like we are today.
It's been a busy morning for Toni and the team from Disability Action Week.
This morning we've been getting all the live flowers on, blowing up all the balloons, getting everyone's shirts organised, working out who's going to sit and who's going to walk and giving out all the signs and going through the last minute stuff. It looks good. Everything's working.
Deb drops off Josh for the parade.
I'll see you at the other end. Don't forget to wave to Deb when you see her. As soon as he saw the track this morning, he was excited. So he doesn't know it yet, but we've decorated all his wheelchair up, so he's going to be sitting in there if he wants.
It's a scorcher. As the mercury hits 40, the team prepares to make the long walk to Queen's Park.
Yeah, just about ready to go. 7,000 revs, drop the gear and see if we can lay some rubber. Only one set of rules, mate. If you throw up in the back, you clean up.
It's going to be a long, hot walk.
The opening of the carnival brings with it the conclusion of Disability Action Week. And what a way to celebrate.
Look at the guys from the Disability Action Week out and about in our parade today. Having a disability affects every aspect of your life, and this float is a celebration of unity and cooperation as many different groups come together for a common purpose. A mammoth 18 groups involved. So good on you guys for coming out today.
Always get a buzz when you see somebody and the kids respond to you. Yeah. Make a connection, it's really nice. You know, lots of people in the crowd. Yeah. We're all waving out together.
It's just been great to see all these people smiling and waving and just, you know, the people calling out to the guys.
Josh is treated like a rock star. Soaking up the atmosphere, he high-fives the crowd all the way down the main street.
Taking lots of photos as he goes.
As the float rounds the last bend and heads into Queen's Park, the parade is over for another year.
Yes. Oh, baby, you were very good. It was so good. We got lots of claps and cheers and lots of people calling out to us, and it's really good that all the groups worked together as well as they did. They all had a ball.
Everybody's really into it, weren't they?
It's a great crowd, like there's a lot of people.
I think it was just really refreshing to have all the families and the community together in one spot.
Really enjoyed it. These guys waved their hearts out and we had a brilliant day.
Seeing all the flowers, so beautiful, everything's so colourful, it was lovely.
It was a great day to celebrate and to celebrate the festival, celebrate the city.
And we congratulate Toowoomba on a fantastic parade and 60-year celebration.
It's been really worth every second of it. 12 months work, it's good. It's lots of fun.
It's the weekly after-school soccer match at Hoi Malai High School. Suphot and his friend Sarawut find themselves a front row seat to catch all the action. Although he enjoys watching the others play, he cannot help but feel that he's missing out.
เจอเขาอยากเล่นก็อยากเล่นเหมือนกันแต่ก็เดินไม่ได้ก็เลยไม่ได้เล่นมีความรู้สึกก็เสียใจครับที่แบบเดินไม่ได้ครับ
Sarawut is always willing to sit on the sidelines with his good mate Suphot.
เริ่มต้นที่ห้องครับยังไม่มีใครช่วยเลยผมเอาขึ้น
ก็เป็นเพื่อนที่ดีเหมือนกัน
รู้สึกดีอ่ะมีความสุขอ่ะ
Suphot may not be able to play soccer with the other boys, but there is one game that he's great at.
เล่นมาคอสเล่นได้ชนะ
Probably the best moment I have of working with Suphot is we were on we had a 3-day camp of young adults. A few of the other Candlelight members who are able-bodied were playing frisbee, and Suphot really wanted to play. There's a great photo of me which I love. I picked up Suphot, sort of hung him around my neck and was teaching him how to play frisbee. And just the joy on his face was just fantastic because he was able to partake in what everyone else was doing. He got really good at it really quickly. That was just really heartwarming for me, seeing someone who everyone else would sort of just leave on the sidelines, but want to get involved and being able to help him and just make him feel really part of the group and part of Candlelight. Yeah.
Writing a book about Josh's life has helped Toni reflect on the issues of raising a child with Down syndrome. She hopes that it may also assist other parents in similar circumstances.
I wanted to write it all down because it was so difficult and so painful, and there were so many lessons learnt along the way and all the little joys and things. I didn't want to forget any of it. And because his life was so tenuous, I just wanted to record every second of it. It took me a long time to do the first 12 months to write, because I'd only write like 2 sentences and I'd be crying so hard I'd have to stop, and then I'd come back and write 2 more and 2 more. But now it's just a daily thing. You know, you don't just walk into somewhere and they say, oh, you've had a child with a disability born. Well, here's everything you need to know and where to go and what to do. That doesn't happen. I've written it with a lot of hints through it as well, of things at the end of each period of his life, like things that we found, places to go and things to do and that. So other people who might be walking a similar path it might just make life a little bit easier for them. And if his story helps somebody, then that would be great.
Toni writes to help others, but she draws her strength elsewhere.
Faith is the cornerstone of our life. It's what we revolve around, and it's through our faith that we've met so many wonderful people, you know, who've come to mean so much in our lives and be such important parts of it. And if it wasn't through that, then, you know, we'd be totally alone.
Well, Toni's an extremely dedicated mother, as you've already seen, but she's also an incredibly active member of the church.
I was just doing the first reading this morning, and it was one of my favourite verses.
Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her a share in the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the city gates. Hear the word of the Lord. And Joshy did his usual thing. He takes up the offertory basket.
I think it's endearing that he does what he does. He staggers up the front with a basket that's bigger than he is.
Having the same routine to do every Sunday, and to his involvement I think it's really good for him to have that involvement.
He runs up and down the aisle and, you know, makes us all stay awake.
Runs up in the middle of the service, we just get interrupted. Who cares? It's Josh. It's him. We just love him.
Well, occasionally you'll get an old duck that'll complain, but them's the breaks. You've got to deal with them.
But I've just really admired the way Toni has battled on with her faith. Never gives up. They both want to make a special contribution to the world, and that's wonderful to see.
The beauty of it is that when you see someone like Josh, you know, the hope of a human being is standing there. And I think the wonderful thing is that he's retained that childhood, uninhibited life mentality, and that's what makes him terrific.
Joshy, he just knows that Jesus loves him and lives in his heart, and he's very blessed. Yeah, I don't know how we would do it if we didn't have our faith.
The soccer match winds up, and it's time for Suphot to head home. Suphot and Josh have grown up in 2 very different cultures. Their environments have played an important role in their upbringing and will continue to shape their future development.
Healthcare in Australia is really quite good compared to a lot of other nations around the world.
It is extremely difficult to find interventional care of the standard and reliability you want.
In Australia, he would have been given a brace, he would have had regular physiotherapy and occupational therapy sessions.
Here, at least, when children are recognised as having a disability, they're allowed to participate in the hospital and private therapy and, you know, disability services.
If Joshy was over there, he would not have survived. He wouldn't have got the surgery he needed. He wouldn't have got any of the medical attention. He wouldn't have survived.
Attitudes towards people living with disability are changing. Organisations like Candlelight are steadily increasing awareness in their local communities.
Some people are very supportive. Other people say, well, that's their problem. but we don't need to get involved, and so part of our role is to try and get people involved and see that they can be part of that.
You know, just because he can't walk, it doesn't put him down. He still plays with all his friends, and his friends treat him just like he's anyone else.
People don't see that. I don't think they can see past the downs sometimes. They need to see him for who he is.
People with disabilities have enormous ability as far as I'm concerned.
He's just a kid. He's just on a different level to other kids his age. So, and he should be treated as such. He's learning, he's developing, he gets excited, he gets grumpy. He's just a kid.
You know, he can be a bit of a handful, but that's all part of the joy of him being who he is, I think.
The way the world is for us, everybody's different.
When a child is born with a disability, it is essential that they have a supportive network around them.
You need to pick the right parent for this child. It's an awful thing to say, to sound back to front, but you really do.
Every now and again he's in hospital and Toni's despairing, you know, how on earth am I going to do things? And yet she does, she gets through, she manages to keep a good perspective on the state of Josh's health.
These children need a parent who's got time and effort.
And I always say that God really picks who he gives these children to, and he has chosen the right mother.
Josh and Suphot were blessed with great parents who want to see them develop into the best they can be.
ตรงนี้นี่จะได้ตอนไหนแต่ก็บอกไม่ได้ใช่ไหมครับตอนนี้กำลังเรียนอยู่เนี่ยผมก็จะพยายามให้เขาก็เลี้ยงตัวเองให้ได้เหมือนกัน
Our aim is to try and get people into as normal situation as possible.
He just looks at the world through such a wonderful way, you know. He loves everyone and he accepts everybody no matter what, and he forgives everybody no matter what they've done to him. And he just, you know, he doesn't hold on to grudges.
He's just, you know, grown into his own person. He doesn't care that he's got a disability, and he just gets on with life and does the best that he can.
Disability does not define the lives of Josh and Suphot. Their positive attitudes and sparkling personalities are nothing short of inspirational.
He's just such a happy kid, just got such a great personality, and people just see straight past his disability and just see the character that's inside of him.
He really genuinely has so much love, and he inspires me all the time to be more like him.
Suphot and Josh may never meet, and although they are worlds apart, they remain together in adversity.